Hello everybody and welcome back. Didn't think I would see you again so soon, to be honest, but because you all gave me some pretty positive feedback on the first video that I posted, and thank you so much for that. Stick until the end of the video, by the way, because I will announce who is going to receive Sugar Bear's picture. So let's get into today's video. A couple days ago I spent the better part of my afternoon hanging out in the streets with the Squeegee gang. I came back home with about 100 pictures. I've already selected the ones that I wanted to spend a bit more time talking about. I got some pretty good stories for you. So yeah, let's get into it. Before we even jump into looking at the pictures, I want to tell you a bit of a background story as to why I've been hanging out with these guys. 2 years ago I started shooting a music video for a band called The Damn Truth, founded by two very good friends, very dear friends of mine. The content of the music video is going to be following a bunch of what people refer to as squeegee kids, filming their day-to-day, just pretty much hanging out with them, having my camera out and filming whatever happens. Spending time with these guys are some of the most precious moments that I've had recently, so let's get into it. We are starting with a picture of a guy that I had just met. That's actually when I'm meeting the guy, I'm taking this picture. His name is Dylan, he's 21 years old, and he was just chilling here sitting on the sidewalk, so I kind of had to go and ask if I could photograph him. The great thing, in my opinion anyway, about this picture is the contrast between him feeling good about myself kind of pose and this statue. It's kind of someone having a panic attack, like all curled up in a ball. This picture, I don't have to reframe it at all, actually. He's perfectly centered. Now as for the editing process, you can see that I've blasted out the oranges a bit just to make his skin pop out a bit more, and I've also increased the shadows to get more details on his face. The highlights are down and the whites are up. Again, that allows me to get a really contrasty image, and as you may know by now, I love black and white to be contrasted. Many of these pictures that I'm going to be showing you today I didn't really take for myself, I took for these guys. They used the opportunity to get some good memories, to get some group shots, and so I'm happy to do that for them, you know? It was important for me to take their picture at this corner specifically because this is where they spend most of their days. I don't want to have this car in the back of the picture. Definitely gonna keep either this picture or this one. Here, the dog has his eyes closed, open here, so that's the one that I am choosing to keep. By the way, I printed many of those pictures that you're gonna see today, brought them back to the whole gang. They were so excited about it. It was beautiful to just give them those pictures and to see the reaction they had when they were discovering them. Whenever I'm taking group shots, I take the one where everybody's looking at me, but then I'm like, okay, now forget that I'm here, forget the camera, interact with each other. It creates this little weird moments where people don't really know what to do with one another. They usually create very cool pictures. Here, Brendan is playing this game with his friends. You know the one, like if I show you this and you look at it, then I have to like punch you in the arm. Moving on, this is basically just behind this part of the sidewalk. Like if I turn around, that's what I would see then. He asked before he went to sleep if they could wake him up just 1 hour later. And so they went with their squeegees filled of like water and soap, and they started like just dropping water on him. But I didn't shoot this, I didn't photograph it anyway. I was filming it because that's gonna be in the music video. Then I tried to take a few shots and it's completely blurry, completely out of focus, and that's because when I was shooting the video I had my focus set to manual, and I forgot to switch back to auto to take the picture. I realized my mistake, switched back to autofocus. So when I'm shooting this, I'm really low. I don't want to shoot this from above. I want to bring you to his level. I don't like this one as much as that one because I feel like it's a bit empty on the left hand side versus this one. So I think I'm gonna just live with the fact that this is all blurred out. I still like the scene, and the scene that I captured to me is more important than having the perfect settings for my photograph. I can tell like in that top left corner that my whites are completely blasted out, and that's because the sun came out. So I'm gonna bring the highlights down. It's gonna allow me, you see how I'm getting more details, like in a sharper contour here on Brendan's shoulder. The shadows, I don't need to touch them actually. I think I'm gonna keep them at 0 because I don't have anything hiding in the shadows. But the blacks, yeah, so see if I do this, it shows me where my blacks are like just full on blacks. I'm gonna go a bit further to the left. Again, that's all for the contrast. If we compare the before and after, I've been able to get slightly more details in his body than I had. Here, they were both working on two different cars, and because they have pretty much the same movement, eventually their movement lined up perfectly and I was able to get this. So the two of them, Vince, aka Double Tap, and Brendan, aka Jeebus. I also like that if you pay attention, this guy here, he's about to like get a few coins out. It tells the whole story basically. That's what they do for a living, and you can see that he's gonna get paid. That's what they do every day of the year, whether it be raining, whether it be snowing, whether it be 40 degrees under the sun, these guys will be squeegeeing. Moving on, what do we have? This is where the fun part begins, and by fun I mean that this is where a whole bunch of other people just started arriving. The first one to arrive was MJ. She looks at me, sees the camera, I've never met her. She turns to Vince and she's like, what does this guy want? I hear Vince, and I'm really thankful for that. He tells her, no, this guy's cool, don't worry about it. He's been filming us for the past 2 years now. He's a friend of ours. It's all good. And so right away she turns to me and she's like, oh, can you take pictures of me as well then? So I did. I like to fill the frames basically with as much content as I can. I don't like so much like too minimalistic pictures. I love watching them. I don't really like taking them. So I'm filling the frame here with Dylan's legs. I'm like, yeah, don't pay too much attention to me. You can look at me if you want, but like don't just stare and freeze. By the way, one tip actually for the photographers out there, if you want to take good portraits, focus on the people that smoke, because whenever they're smoking a cigarette, they kind of forget the camera, or at least they focus not so much on the camera, but they focus more on the puff that they're gonna take and when they're gonna blow out the smoke. You get those very like relaxed face muscles, and you get very natural looking photographs. And also the smoke is a nice detail to have in the picture as well. So let's look at this full screen just so that you can admire how great these guys look. Took a few more pictures. We're talking as I'm photographing. I'm not just disappearing behind the camera and then not saying anything and waiting for the perfect moment. I need to create the perfect moment. Always keep a connection. Moving on, getting closer. Whenever I take pictures of people, I usually that's what I like to do. Either I'm going straight for like the in-your-face portrait, or I'm gonna start further away and then slightly let me take a few steps closer, and let me take a few steps closer. Once like the connection, the trust is established, then I can move in and be like, all right, now let me take a portrait of you, and then boom, right in your face with my camera. And after the series of group shots, which again I took kind of for them, not so much for myself, I was like, all right, let me take a picture now my way, if you don't mind. So here we go. That's the series that I was really looking forward to edit when I was coming home. And so we started with Marie-Jeanne. Yeah, she's beautiful. As for the composition, for the framing, I'm trying to fill the frame with as much relevant information as possible. So that's how I'm choosing how close or how far I want to be from my subject. And the first one, so her head is too down, I find. So I ask her to lift your head slightly up, and I get these two shots. And this one I think is my favorite, although I like that one here, the quirkiness as well. In terms of editing, so I've increased the contrast by playing with the color mix. I've brushed over her eyes. Same thing as usual, basically just bringing the shadows, adding a bit of clarity and sharpness just to make her eyes kind of like stand out. So once I've started with one, I'm gonna go like, I basically went to everyone that was around doing this. So with Vince, he had like a can in his hand, and then I was like, okay, so this is what I'm going to use to fill the frame with. So I just like slightly went back a bit, and I get this picture right here. So this one, in terms of editing, look at how I've brought the reds and the oranges down, and the reason for that is that if I bring them up, I lose his freckles, I lose all the details that make Vince Vince. There you go, that's Vince for you. Then we have Sweet Dylan. See, I told you, like, when people are smoking their cigarettes, you get these very natural expressions. In terms of composition, well, there's not much on his face or around or close to his face to fill the frame with. So that's when I really take a step back, and because he's got his arms crossed, I know that I can use this to my advantage, closing the bottom of the picture with the bottom arm, and then you wait for him to like go for a cigarette, and that's when you get the natural expression. I love this picture. He loved it as well. And actually, as I was taking those pictures and showing them on the back of the camera, he said, wow, we look like humans. what do you mean by that? What else do you think you would look like? And he said, well, I don't know, we just look like normal human beings, decent human beings, not just trash or scum, which is what people usually look at us like. At that moment, I knew that all of the time that I had spent with them, hanging out with them, looking at them like I'm looking at anyone else, like with just respect and kindness, I knew this was worth it. Of course, if everybody looks at you like a piece of trash, you're likely to start behaving like a piece of trash, and you're likely to start treating yourself like a piece of trash. That really doesn't help them maybe moving on to a better situation in their lives. If I can help them see them in a brighter light, then my work is done. I can die peacefully. That's really the only reason that I'm photographing these guys, is to show them under a new, kinder light. And I love that they're the ones saying that they see the results. And moving on, we got MJ's boyfriend. He was on the other side of the street, and she went and like brought him in because she wanted a picture with him. So they've been together for a couple weeks, and they have a lot of affection for one another. These guys, whenever they have a relationship, it's serious. There aren't many people that actually care for them, so when they find someone that care for them, that's going to be strong, that's going to be meaningful in their lives. I took this picture again, not so much for myself, but for them. And once I had taken this one, I was like, all right, we need to have your portrait taken now. So here we go for Preston's portraits. As you can see here, same trick, using the arms to create the bottom of the frame. So for this one, he's really like giving me like a poser's pose, like you know, kind of showing off, like being overly proud of himself. So okay, I'm gonna take this shot, but later on I'm gonna come back to you and I'm gonna get something that's a bit more authentic, so we'll get to that. By the way guys, I don't know if you can tell, but I am super hot right now. It's really warm outside. There's a bit of a heat wave going on. I'm disgusting. I really need to take a shower. I'm coming back from a shoot that was really intense. It's with a dance company, an integrated dance company. What that means is that it's got open quote, close quotes, because I don't like the term normal dancers, and then we've got atypical dancers. That means people who live with handicaps. It was amazing. As I was taking like a bunch of pictures and they were just like dancing in front of me, I swear I was taking pictures and like crying at the same time, because this was just so beautiful and so emotional. But more on that maybe in the next video. So back to our friends here. Basically you get the idea. Stop looking at the camera, interact with each other, have some fun, and this is what I get out of it. Look at that. I got some of them are looking at me, some of them are not. They're playing with one another, and they're genuinely having a good time. Again, I can't zoom in or zoom out, fixed lens, so sometimes I'm just gonna tilt the camera to get everything in the frame, and I'm always making sure that he doesn't cross over the border of the frame, and same thing for what's happening on the other side. So yeah, it's crooked, but that's perfectly fine by me. Moving on to Brendan's portraits. Brendan is one of the hero, if not the main hero, of the music video I'm filming. When I first met Brendan, he was with his best friend Jake, and the two of them made it really easy for me to like integrate their world. And it's because they welcomed me in that I was able to befriend everyone else and really film some stuff that I never thought I would be able to film. Jake moved back to British Columbia, where he got himself clean, stopped using heroin, went at his mom's place for a couple of weeks where he like took all the pain of the withdrawal, and then he was clean for 3 months. And then one night he went for a fix, and he overdosed and he died on the spot. So Jake passed away at the beginning of the year, and this was really sad, obviously for Brendan, who was like a brother to him, and for pretty much all of the gang. I went to the funeral with them. They don't have a car, so I rented out a car, and I brought Brendan and a whole bunch of people to Jake's funeral. I didn't know him obviously as well as these guys do, but still, he had a huge impact on me. So anyway, Jake, rest in peace. This video, I guess this one is dedicated to you. I don't know if you can tell, but Brendan really hasn't yet overcome the fact that he's lost his best friend. He's a really sweet dude as well. I really love him. I really appreciate the fact that he's allowing me to live all those moments and share all those moments with him and his friends. And I really hope that eventually the loss of his best friend isn't gonna hurt as much as it does today. Can't really talk about editing after this, right? So let's just move on. So as I said, I wanted to move back to Preston because I didn't want to get the poser shot But here I wanted to get a more real, intimate shot. So I went back to him and I'm like, all right, I want you to think about whatever is important to you right now. And there I've got a real look. This here, that's real. Obviously I included this big design that he had on his t-shirt and made sure the eye line is like close to the top third, right? If you know your rule of thirds, always make sure the important things are close to the lines of third or close to the hotspots, so the intersections of two lines of thirds. If you don't know what the rule of third is, just Google it. Very easy to apply, and if you apply it to your pictures, right away you're gonna see like a dramatic increase in terms of the quality of your compositions. And then this guy arrived. His name is Bern. So he came in and she wanted to take a picture with him. She like climbed on top of his shoulder, and look at this here with the fingers here, like one side of the frame, the other side of the frame, focusing on this amazing face of his with Marie-Jeanne's legs around his neck. I think that's the coolest picture from that day. That's my favorite one. In terms of editing, whenever the light's the same everywhere, the editing is going to remain the same pretty much throughout the whole series, so I'm not going to go through the details of it again. But obviously with Bern here, I really had to take a closer portrait of him. So here we go, that's the first one. He didn't mind me taking pictures, but he didn't really know like what face to do. So he was like saying just that, and I was taking the pictures as he was saying that. When he talks to you, that's what he looks like. It's as if he's talking to you right now. Look at this guy. I can't pick which one's the better one. I can't delete one or the other. I'm definitely gonna keep this. Marie-Jeanne was like, no, you need to take a proper picture. So she like grabbed his face and like, no, turn your face back to him and just look at him normally. Almost feels like he's getting a massage, or like he's at the chiropractor, you know, and like he's gonna get his neck like. Then we got Preston just chilling, and he was just like casually smoking his cigarette here. So obviously that's an image I'm alive, it's okay. That's an image that I want to capture for the music video first. So obviously I shot this and video first. Here I'm staying at 1.4. I really want to get him as he's smoking his cigarettes. So if cars are going to be in the background, I want at least to make sure that they're blurred out. And also I want to isolate him because it creates this sense of he's just in his own little world, even though he's on the sidewalk right next to probably the busiest street of Montreal. And then it was Vince's turn to go take a nap. It's not contrasty enough to my taste, so if I bring down the blues, yes, if I bring down even the exposure slightly, and the blacks and the shadows, and bring up the whites, and there you go, I've got the contrast that I like. And then I got in really close. It's kind of striking whenever someone's sleeping on the street, like who dares to get this close to them? Most people, they don't even want to like look at it. It's like they don't want to see that reality happening. I like to put that reality right there in your face. I find that when I shot it like from above, it feels way more trashy because you see exactly where he's crashing. You see how dirty the floor is. He looks rather like comfortable, and he actually sleeps on the streets. He doesn't have a place. He's actually homeless, so I guess he's just used to sleeping on the ground, like straight on the concrete like this. The last picture I shot yesterday, that was the next day of the whole series that we just went through, and I went back to them with this camera right here, which is a medium format old school Yashica D. That's one of those cameras that you put film in and you shoot like this. So I'm gonna get you guys in focus. There you go, I'm focused on you. So what I did is I went back to the squeegees and I brought some cardboard and a marker with me. And because of the whole we look like human thing, I asked them to write something on the cardboards that they wish people knew about them. I'm not gonna go and tell you what they all wrote. Eventually the series is gonna come out somewhere and you'll see the pictures for yourself. But I want to tell you about what Marie-Jeanne wrote. So at first she was like, maybe I should write something about the fact that I couldn't find my place in your society, and I found my place with the people that I met on the streets, who I can see more of myself in them than I can with anybody else. And then eventually she mentioned something else, and I don't want to say too much about her story. However you interpret it, it's really sad. And as she was writing and as she was telling me about what she was going to write, God, I really got the feels. And in those moments, I don't want to show my emotion too much. I mean, I want to show that I'm empathizing with the stories that they're telling me, but I don't want to start crying. They don't need someone to start crying over their story. They need someone to just like listen to them without judgment. But as soon as I got back on my scooter and said goodbye, wow, it's like all this bubble of emotion that had kept inside like exploded out. If you catch me crying on my scooter, it might be because I just took a very intense picture. And so I took the picture obviously with this camera, but I asked her if she wanted to get a copy like quickly of that picture. She said yes, I love that. So I also took it with my digital camera, and there you go, right there. And I'm just gonna leave you on that note. No, I'm not gonna leave you on that note actually. I'm gonna say one thing. If you ever run into these guys, or anybody that is in the same situation, treat them like human beings. When I spend my time with them, I look at how people react to them, and there are many people who pretend they're not there. It's like they have blinders on, and nope, I don't see you, I don't hear you, you basically don't exist. I think that's one of the reasons that they feel maybe they're not human beings. So I was talking about the fact that I want to do all this project with them so that people maybe look at them with more respect. And she said, yeah, but we are trash though. No, you're not trash. Your lifestyle may be trash, but you yourself are a human being. Whatever your lifestyle, you deserve the respect of any human being. So please just show them respect and kindness as you would anyone else, I hope, anyway. That's what I'm gonna leave you on. Alright, so thank you for watching all the way to this part. This was a very meaningful series for me, so I really hope that you enjoyed the results of it. Without further ado, it's time for me to pick the winner of Matthew's photograph. I haven't signed it yet, so I'm gonna do that before I send it away. So 23 people commented on the video. So there's this thing on Google, random number generator. You enter the minimum number, you enter the maximum, which is gonna be 23 here, generate, and that's number 14. And who's on the 14th line? That's David Sebastian. David Sebastian, first of all, thank you very much for your comment and for the feedback. I really appreciate it. I am going to send this to you. So guys, thank you very much. See you next time. Bye bye.